Weekend. For those joining online, we'll use the raise hand function, please, for any questions. And I think we're going to start off in the room today with George.
Hi, George.
Hi, Robert. Good to see you. It's been a 3-game week, no win, but do you feel like there's been plenty of positives?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the result, of course, we had Liverpool and then we ended with a draw and then we lost against Man City. But it's still it's two quite good games with good performances. And I think that you can tell that we are looking better in the defense. I think you can tell that we look good in the build-up. We want to score more goals. We want to be an attacking team. And there's always an opponent who want to stop us doing that. So, of course, we need to develop there because we play two really good teams. But on the other hand, I see us trying to do stuff. So I'm quite pleased with that. And of course, it's nice to see how we stick together and how we look like a team right now. Because we try to play the way we want to do it. We try to look like a Tottenham Hotspur team. So I'm actually quite happy with the performances, even if the results not been the best.
And, obviously not happy with defeats, but does it feel like Man City, the results against Man City kind of show how much progress you've made from the first one to being a very narrow defeat on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think when we went there and played them and we want to just do our style and we realized that they are a very good team and they basically scored on every chance they got, then we realized, okay, we need to actually work together to defend against that good team. I think we learned a lot from that game and the Man United game, so that was the reason we were beating Arsenal, because we were learning how to defend together as a collectively team, right? And now we're doing that very well, but then it takes a lot of energy to do that because they are a very good team. And then when you're going to be sharp when you win the ball or when you're going to do and break down their defense, they are very good there as well. So we're learning now that, okay, now we know how to defend. Now we know what we want to do when we win the ball, but now we also need to make sure that we are fit enough to succeed, right? So still it's going to take time, but I think everybody see that we're taking steps and everybody see that we look like the team we want to do. So I'm not stressed. It's more like the frustration to lose against them 3 times in a short time, but that's what it is.
Different competition now, looking at the FA Cup, and Charlton's manager, Karen Hill's obviously got great history at this club. How sort of aware are you of that as she comes back this weekend? And I believe you guys played a friendly not too long ago. Yeah,
they were here visiting us for a friendly directly after New Year. Of course, I know that she's been here before, and I mean, she have a loan player from us as well and a good relation with the club. So it's going to be nice to play against her again. But they are doing good. I think they are one of the teams that actually can nail it and go up to the Women's Super League next year. So I'm impressed what they're doing. So it's going to be a tough game, but I also know that when we play against the championships teams and if we reach the level we want to reach, I know that we have a really good chance to win. So we need to go into this game with a very professional mindset and play our style.
And just finally from me, the FA Cup is the chance to win something. I mean, how excited are the group getting and yourself about hopefully taking another step, and it'd be the quarterfinals if you can get through this game?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it's 3 games before we can actually play at Wembley for a title, so it's quite close actually. So we see that, and we know that if we take this game first, then it's 2 more games before we can play at Wembley. So we very much want to do that because I don't think we will win the league this year, and we will not win the Conti Cup. So this is basically the last chance to have a title this year, and we want to be that team. So hopefully we learn from the Man City game, the other one, and hopefully we can win tomorrow and have a really good cup run in the FA Cup.
George?
Robert, I just wonder, what would it mean personally for you to win the FA
Cup? I think when you go, when you are very old and you're going to look back on your career, it's going to be perhaps the titles that will recognize what you did. So one thing is like, if I get a title with this amazing club in that amazing cup, it's going to be really cool, right? And especially for the fans, I think they have longing to have a title again, and I think they deserve to have a title. So it's going to be, for me, it's a receipt that you're doing a good job. But on the other hand, I'm more into this for the people I work with and how we're going to develop. So the title is just a title. I think, every day I go to work, I want to be better, and I think the players want to be better. So even if we fail this time, we get a new chance next year and so on. So of course you want the titles, that's what everybody wants, but for me it's more about the journey we do together, and hopefully that brings titles. So I'm not desperate for the titles, I'm desperate to develop so we get the titles in the long end.
And you mentioned that journey you're on. I know you lost to Man City in the week, but do you feel like you're closing the gap on the sides above you in terms of performances? You're getting closer to them. I know you lost, but
yeah,
the team's getting better at playing against that level.
I mean, we're learning how to play against them so we can compete against them. I still think the gap is quite big. If you look at their players, how they dictate the game against us and how they play. I think Man City have 7 games in a row or something, 8 games win. So I still think it's a big gap to actually dictate the games against them. But we're learning how to compete against them right now, and that's where we are. It's going to take time before we can develop the players and bring the players that's basically starting in the best national teams in the world and so on. So right now we are in a good spot, but we also realize that it's some steps to take before we can actually dictate the games against them. So we're learning how to compete against them, but we're also learning that it's more to improve before we can beat them.
Just a word on Charlton, going quite well. Just how dangerous can they be potentially tomorrow that you probably need to watch out for?
Yeah. I mean, we had them in the friendly game, and they had 1-0 in the second half against us. So I know they have some really good players in that team, and you can see that they are well organized, and they have they play a certain style, which I think they are brave in the build-up. They are impressed as well. So I think they have everything they need to go up to the Women's Super League. But then, of course, we have better players than them in all positions, so we should win that game if we reach the level we want to do. But every cup game lives their own lives, right? So we were almost losing against Sheffield United. So we need to be very sharp from the beginning because they have quality players and a good coach. Cheers.
Thank you. Moving online, we'll go to Alex, please.
Afternoon, Robert. There's been a few matches this season where your team has kind of lacked a bit of a creative spark, particularly if Grace Clinton is marked out of the game. Drew Spence has been out injured for a little while, so how much longer will it be until she's back? And when she is back, how important do you think she could be for finding that creative spark in the final third?
I think she's back now doing the warm-up, some technical stuff with the team, so she's very close to actually go in and play with the team in training, so hopefully it's not too many weeks left now. And she looks very good when she's in the technical part because she's so good with the ball. I think when you look at the teams we played against the last weeks, they're really good one in this league and how they defend and everything. There's a few players who can be very creative in those games. That's Grace Clinton, that's Drew Spence. Those kind of players who can see stuff that nobody else can see, who can break a line, who can do that amazing passing behind or whatever. And I think Drew is one of those. So I miss her in that way because she has some X factors that not many players have. I think Grace has been brilliant in breaking down all the teams this year. Last game, they took her really hard, and it was hard for her to get into the game against Man City. But she works really hard for the team, and she tried to do it. And she's young, so I need to accept sometimes that she cannot just be the best player on the pitch every game, right? So it's okay. I miss Drew, and I'm very pleased when she's back soon and can use her as well.
And just on the strike force of Margaret Thomas and Beth England, it's not quite clicked between the two yet. They're both quality players individually, but together they're not finding the right runs, the space between each other. What do you have to do to create a really effective partnership that is consistently impressive in every match?
I mean, first of all, you need to find the right role according to the team and how we play. And Martha's dropping as a 10 quite many games, and find some really good relationship with Jess when she has been a 9, and when she and Beth has worked together, they started to get to know each other, but they are quite similar players, so they need to get to know who's dropping, who's running in behind, how can we make sure the rest of the team is putting the balls in the right spaces for them as well. So, and also to make sure we are very fit when we go for it. I mean, they do a lot of hard work for us defending against Man City, for example, and then it's a little bit harder to be really sharp in the last third when we're going to attack. So we need to find ways to use their energy in the right way as well. But then it's a competition. I mean, Shuang Wang has been amazing in the games on trainings, and we have Jessica Nass, like I said, as well. So it's also a really tough competition. We have a good squad now where actually you don't just can pick any player and say that they're going to play 90 minutes every game, because we have so many good players, which is quite nice to have, because I think that's the way for us to mind that gap with the top teams, because they have, if you look at their bench in those teams, they are basically having national team players on the bench who's starting in the national team as well. So we're getting there. We have a really, really good competition, and I think if you can just deal with that and accept that, then we're going to be finding relations. So when Martha and Beth play together, they're going to find relations because they are very clever. Sometimes Jessica Nass will play with them, sometimes Shuang will play with them. And then you start creating those patterns, relations, and strength and weaknesses, right? So it takes time because you need to get to know each other. So if you give them time, and they will grow into it.
Yeah, sorry, no, that's okay. Robert, I could just ask you about the kickoff time. Saturday, it's a 5:15 kickoff, which doesn't give fans enough time if they're at the men's match, which kicks off at 3 p.m. against Brighton, to get to Brisbane Road. When the club's trying to build a fan base that is consistently there, that's going to take some involvement with getting fans across from the men's team. What are kind of your thoughts on kind of kick-off times and kind of working alongside the men's matches to create a bigger fan base in general?
Of course, we want to make sure that our fans can come to both games, right? So we always try to push that to make sure we don't play at the same day, too close to each other and everything. But sometimes you cannot really steer everything. Sometimes media, the television, everything is not so easy to solve there. So we try to do everything we can to make sure our fans can come to all the games we have. But sometimes it's also very important that the TV can get the right games in the right order and everything. So I think it's a tricky one, because if everybody work together, I think we can find a way so we don't end up in the same time, same day, of course. But sometimes it's out of our, we cannot decide everything there. So it's a little bit tricky. But like a club, we don't really want to do that. Of course, we want to make sure the fans can watch both teams, and we try to do our ever best to make that happen.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alex. We'll go to Rachel.
Hi, Robert. Can I just ask you about sort of chance creation and shots? Obviously, one of the issues earlier in the season was sort of like converting them, but then, the team was scoring quite a lot of goals. And over the last few games, that's become tougher, West Ham aside. What do you think it is? Is it just because of playing teams that are very strong defensively, or that Spurs have to defend against? Or is there something else?
I think it's, if you look at the games we played, the last 3 before Christmas, and these games here, most of these games have been against top 5 teams. So of course you need to defend more in those games, and of course you play probably against better defense work and the other teams in the league. So that's one thing. I think when you look at how well we have started to defend, it takes energy, because if you're going to defend very well, you need to put a lot of effort into that. And to be sharp and actually be creative, you need to be feeling fresh. So if you put a lot of minutes into defending against Man City, of course, you're not going to feel that fresh when you're going to take good decisions in the last third or whatever. So it's connected to each other. So we need to defend well, because otherwise they're going to score goals. And then we want to score a lot of goals. And now we are in the mixture. Okay, now we know how to defend, but we need to make sure we perhaps gamble a little bit more, because we want to score goals. We want to be that team, right? And we want to make sure we develop the fitness so we can do both. So in the long end, you're going to see a high-pressing Tottenham that can defend well, but also attack very good. But right now, we are taking steps in all areas. And whatever we choose to focus on, we lose a little bit of the other one. So hopefully tomorrow, we can put a lot of focus in how we're going to attack and score a lot of goals, because we scored 4 against West Ham and 3 against Sheffield United and so on. So I'm not worried. It's more like we just need to make sure we take development through all the stages, because if you're going to be a top team, you need to defend together, you need to press, you need to have a good build-up. So whatever you choose, you always find something else you need to develop. So if you look at the build-up the other day against Man City, I think that was the best build-up game from us this year. They couldn't press our goal kicks, they couldn't take the ball from us in the build-up. So big step forward. No shots on goal, that's not a big number for us, right? So then we need to look at that. So like I said, we need to be fresher, we need to take better decisions, we need to find ways to build relations. We have new players coming in as well. Beth coming back from that injury. Shuang coming in with basically don't speak too much English, new fullbacks. So everything is connected to how you're going to attack. And when you find the relations, when you find the flow, you're going to see us score a lot of goals. But some games it's going to be more hard because the opponent is too good right now. So it's a mixture. But hopefully tomorrow you will see a lot of goals.
Look forward to it. And do you think any of this is sort of fitness and strength, or is that something that you think is changing over the season and you see the team building? Or is that something you still want to work on?
Yeah, I think it's like one of the big things we're trying to do. So it's like when we came here and we did all the testing when we started in August, we realized that long preseason or long days actually off the season with new coach, new medical staff and everything, we realized we need to improve here quite much. But you cannot do that too quickly, because then you get the injuries as well. So you need to make sure you have a plan and do that step by step. And I think what we're doing now is to try to take steps, but still doesn't, risk too much when getting them injured and so on. And when we come to the next preseason, we can take the next step, because next year we should be ready to actually be that fit so we can do it. We try to sign players that can handle it as well. So Amanda and Charlie is two great examples on their physicalities that they can bring to the way we play. So we want to make sure we sign players that can handle the game we want to play. So that's also a big step for us. But yeah, we need to get even more fit and better technically. Otherwise, we cannot play the way we're going to do. We cannot defend the way we're going to do. So we're not going to stop there. We're going to make sure we do that so people can understand that we're going to do the Tottenham way all the way. So, but it takes time. But we know what we're doing, and we know that it's going to take time. So yeah.
Thanks. And can I just ask you? You talked earlier about Drew, but obviously Ash Neville is also off, injured at the moment. Do you have sort of any progress on her? And also, I guess I was thinking earlier in your answer about players who have that sort of creative spark. She's obviously one of them.
Yeah.
And what we're missing not having her in the team.
I think Ash is a very funny player to work with because you don't really know what she's doing. Sometimes she carries the ball forward and she goes to the left side, right side. She uses both feet. She shoots from strange distances and she crosses the ball sometimes very well and sometimes not that well. But it's very fun to work with her because she can break the patterns and she can be something extra, just like Grace as well. So when you have her on the pitch, you know that she can find ways to break down the defense, for example. And she's very good physically. She can run a lot and she can actually win 1-against-1 duels as well. So of course we miss her because she gives us something that's very good for us to have. But she's soon back, which is good. So it's not too many weeks before you will see her again.
Thank you. That's all from me.
Cheers.
Okay, just check for any final questions. No? Okay, thank you very much.